me and my accountant were just Fortnite dancing over my taxes. Okay, and not everyone is a millionaire uncle handing them everything. I wish, dude. That would be so sick. I wouldn't have to bust ass on Twitch every goddamn day if I did have those things. That would be awesome. So anyway, where was I? So I was talking to him about this, about impeachment, and he was like, well, don't you think it's going to be bad? Don't you think that it's going to be a bad thing because like it's going to mobilize the base? It's going to mobilize Trump's base. Trump is going to use this to like fundraise, and it's going to mobilize Republicans. Listen, guys, everything mobilizes the Republicans, okay? Like, no, this is idiotic. This is insane. This is not a good reason not to go after impeachment proceedings, okay? And so I'll describe this to you once and for all in the exact way I described it to my accountant, which is, one, in America, Republicans are in the minority. They're in the moral minority, and they're just in the minority in general. There are more Democrats and more Democratic voters than there are Republicans. Progressive policies are more popular than regressive or conservative policies. These are all factually correct, okay? And yet Republicans still end up winning elections, right? Now, they end up winning elections, one, because they take advantage of the systemic inequalities, like inequalities built into the electoral structure, for example, the Electoral College, or the structural inequality built into the Senate, right? The imbalance of power among states, because it's not weighed across the board, across population. So then on top of that, they do gerrymandering, and they do a bunch of different things. They cheat, essentially. They do everything they possibly can. And I told him, like, that's the reason why they keep winning. So whenever something like this occurs, I think to myself, what would the Republican Party do? Because the Republican Party, like them or hate them, are just better at politics than the Democratic Party are. They're better at enacting their legislative agenda despite the fact that it's not popular. They'll lie, they'll cheat, they'll steal, they'll do all manner of they'll engage in all manner of corrupt behavior to defeat their opponents and to pass whatever kind of awful policy they want to. So, like, I can't even imagine a world in which the Republican Party would not take the gift handed to them on a silver platter if the Democratic candidate or the Democratic president was this transparently corrupt as Donald freaking Trump is, okay? And this is precisely why I think we should have moved to, I think we should have absolutely moved on impeachment months ago, so that we could have moved towards the investigation and changed the goalposts. Like, and I will give you this example that I gave before, the Benghazi hearings. The Benghazi hearings were absolutely weaponized against Hillary Clinton. I'm not saying Hillary Clinton is good or anything. I obviously am no fan of Hillary Clinton, but the Benghazi investigations, the Benghazi committees were more costly and went on for longer than the 9/11 Commission and even the JFK assassination and numerous other investigations conducted by Congress. And there was a reason for it. Kevin McCarthy, or is it MacArthur? I'm not super, I don't remember. But anyway, whatever. Came out on Fox News and literally said, Republican Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy literally came out and said, we're doing this because Hillary Clinton is going to be unpopular because of it. Look at the way she's polling. And what did they do during the Benghazi hearings? They realized that there was no wrongdoing, no foul play. There was no collusion between Hillary Clinton and other like foreign entities or foreign elements. So what did they do? They changed the investigation. They changed the goalpost to what Hillary Clinton had done, which was delete her servers and her emails, 30,000 emails. So that's why you remember Benghazi, but you never remember like the actual conclusion of that investigation, because the conclusion of that investigation doesn't matter. It's just about weaponizing anything you can against your opponents. It's kind of like memes, right? I'm going to use an example of Destiny here. When Destiny and his audience debate someone, it doesn't matter if if he wins the debate or loses the debate. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like a tactic that his community, whether willingly or unwillingly, or on purpose or inadvertently, engages in, where they will take something that you've said and turn it into a weapon against you. And then that meme will become a reality. Paywall Piker is a good example of this. Or Morally Lucky is a good example of this. Republicans do this very well. I think this is an effective strategy, which is precisely why I think that we should have moved forward with the impeachment processes a long time ago. Because right now, it's in a unique position where if there is, if there's any sort of foul play that, or if there's any sort of like innocence to be proven under these circumstances, we don't have enough time to move the goalpost. Okay? We don't have enough time on the Democratic side to change the target. That's why I was extremely critical of the Russiagate hysteria. But then also once the Mueller investigation was concluded, I said, we need to continue this now. This is when we actually need to push back. So basically, my point is weaponize the shit out of this impeachment, these impeachment hearings. And remember, Bill Clinton didn't almost get impeached for getting his dick sucked in the Oval Office. He was nabbed for perjury. He was nabbed for lying to the American people. So if you think that Donald Trump is not going to perjure himself when he is a pathological liar, you're out of your mind. He already has done it. He has shown that he is incapable of like letting the investigation take its course with what he did when he tried to obstruct the James Comey investigation into, like, the original FBI investigation into Donald Trump's potential alleged collusion with Russia. So
I'm not God.
5 months. Wow, we love you, Hasan.
It's not about getting your dick sucked in the Oval Office. It's about lying. It's about how you can manipulate an impeachment process to actually end up impeaching someone. That's what it is. And the reason why I'm not even mentioning Barack Obama is because, like, Barack Obama did plenty of terrible things, but plenty of terrible things that every Republican would have done and every Democrat would have done as well. But, like, as far as blatant corruption, I don't know about like blatant and transparent corruption beyond what like normal presidents would do. Whereas Donald Trump has so many. I mean, okay, you have the violation of the Emoluments Clause. You have him lying to the American people about not letting his children take over his business, or at least disconnecting himself from the business entirely. You have him utilizing American government resources to make money for his own businesses, to enrich the Trump Foundation, or at least enrich Trump properties and Trump businesses. You have him misallocating campaign funds to the tune of $130,000 to pay hush money over to Stormy Daniels. You have so many different avenues to attack him on. You have him on obstruction of justice. So, like, this guy is probably one of the most corrupt, like one of the most brazenly and openly corrupt presidents we have ever seen. So it would be insane if they didn't open impeachment charges. It's literally insane to me that Democrats haven't done it thus far. Especially because, like, look, I personally don't give a shit about eroding constitutional norms or the checks and balances in this country, because I don't believe in American democracy. I don't think that, like, American democracy has existed or will continue to exist in the way that we idealize it. I don't think it has existed throughout any period of time in a meaningful fashion, considering the gross misallocation of resources, wealth, and therefore power in American society. So, but like, what's shocking to me is that Democrats believe it. They believe that there is supposed to be this idealized version of American democracy that they're supposed to be upholding. An American democracy that believes in the constitutional checks and balances. An American democracy that believes in all of these norms. And Donald Trump has destroyed those norms. And the Democratic Party has openly talked about how Donald Trump has destroyed those norms. So if they actually care about the things they speak of in regards to preserving American democracy, of course they're going to try to impeach him. Of course they should have tried to impeach him, regardless of whether it's politically viable to do so. It's maddening to me that this is a conversation where Democrats are still doing the same exact thing that they do, where they're like, is this testing well with our audience? We really need to poll how impeachment protocols will look like in certain districts. So yeah, that's why I think we absolutely should do this. I think this is a good idea, and I think the bad part about this is that it didn't start early enough, so that now, if they fuck up somehow during this, and if they stumble around on any of the facts, Donald Trump and his team are going to be ready to pounce and clear him of any wrongdoing whatsoever. So yeah. Those are my thoughts on the impeachment. I think it's good. I think if they have any integrity, if the Democrats have any integrity whatsoever, they will follow through on this. Do you think it matters if they're only impeaching him because he went after Biden? I think that's so idiotic. I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't try to say like, oh, we're doing this because he went after Joe Biden. I don't think they will say that. That's the stupidest thing they could potentially say, considering that Joe Biden is also corrupt. Considering that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden are obviously corrupt. They're corrupt in the same sense. Like my friend asked me earlier this morning, he was like, so what's the deal? Like, what's the deal with this impeachment shit? What's the deal with Joe Biden versus Donald Trump? And it reminded me of a time where during the Paul Manafort trials, there was another name that was briefly mentioned in the trials. There was another person who had also gotten in trouble. I don't know if anyone here remembers. I'm talking about Tony Podesta. Okay? So the Justice Department ended their investigation recently on Tony Podesta without any charges whatsoever. But they 100% were also in violation of, I mean, they worked with Paul Manafort, but Tony Podesta is a Democrat, right? Tony Podesta is a Democrat. That's crazy. He's the brother of John Podesta. The point I'm trying to make, I mean, it's not Pizzagate shit. The point I'm trying to make here is that Republicans and Democrats engage in the same kind of corrupt behavior all the time, especially when it comes to foreign campaign contributions or lobbying in foreign countries. They do it. They all do it. These people are all corrupt. If you think that the distinction between these sorts of operatives is whatever party they support or whatever party they represent, then you're foolish. You're fooling yourself. You're wrong. The real distinction is a class distinction. The real distinction is whatever the wealthy people want versus whatever is necessary for the survival of as many poor people as possible. And it's not just like the two-party system either. This is like in multi-party systems, you still have these issues as well. It's just like the governments under capitalism, the governments are built in a way, and I'm not saying that like the socialist governments are great or socialist projects have been great thus far, okay? I want to clarify myself because I feel like people take things I say differently, a little differently than what my intention is. But like under the capitalist economic organization, it is fairly obvious at this point that all of our institutions uphold the best interest of the wealthy, the owner class.